That's a lot of cable. I don't know how we've ended up with this much cable, but all of these cables are gonna go into this building, and we're gonna take you with us as we cable out the Artisan HQ project. We've got a ton of power cables, data cables, and all sorts of other special cables going in. So make sure you like and subscribe, and let's get into it. Oh my goodness. It's a field of Doncaster. Look at that. So on this project, we have got armoured cable, twin and earth, singles, NYYJ, tough sheath, YY, cat6, cat6A, fibre. There is so much cable going in here. So one of the goals for today, and the most urgent cable for us to put in, is this. This is FireSure, and it's basically a fireproof cable designed for wiring fire alarm systems. And some of the fire alarm cables need to go in soon before plasterboards get put on and we can't access certain voids. We're going to get some armoured cables in as well for various devices, and some singles which are going to go in all of that metal trunking that we were working on in the previous video. So going to jump into it, start pulling in. So I've got Flynn working with us today. He's being tried out this week as a work experience person for a potential apprenticeship. Flynn, nice to meet you.
Yeah, excited.
So we're going to put him through his paces today and see how he gets on with pulling in cables and doing all of the stuff that an apprentice might do on a job site like this. So I think what we should do is try and organise the cables so that when we are looking for a particular cable, we know where it is, because we've got so many different categories of cables to go in here. So we're going to kind of lay them all out in different stacks, armoured, twin and earth, we've got LSF because obviously it's a commercial site, singles, FireSure, we've got PV Ultra and EV Ultra to go in here as well. We've got the whole range of Doncaster cables. A massive shout out to Doncaster for helping us out with all of these cables as well on this project. And we're gonna get organised before we get stuck in. So this is what's called LSF, or I think from Doncaster Cables it's actually LSZH. Stands for low smoke zero halogen. What it means is if there's a fire in the building and these cables get burnt, they're not going to give off lots of poisonous, horrible fumes. And for fire safety regulations for commercial buildings like that, that is a requirement. You have to use low smoke and fume cable or low smoke zero halogen cable. Now, before we start pulling these in, I think it'd be cool to give you guys a run around of how far we've got with this project so far, because there's a lot has happened in the last couple of weeks. So let me show you around. So we've got walls now for our YouTube studio. There's going to be a suspended ceiling going in here, obviously, but we've got like a nice feel for how big the space is, and it's going to be a great space for us to be able to film content. So that's happened, but upstairs is where the biggest transformation has happened, really. So it's starting to feel like a proper finished space. We've got the high ceilings, which is pretty much how it's going to be, other than that they're going to be boarded out. Got the little wall here in place now for the kitchenette coffee space, my favourite part of the building. And the walls have been built up all the way around the edges now to create a wall that we can butt up to with the plasterboards on the ceiling. So this is kind of like the finished space now, and we've got windows, so we're going to have a ton of natural light in here. The stud work started to go up around all of these windows, and there's even a bit of plasterboard on there, so it's all happening fast. So Mike and the crew are back this week to help us pull in the cables. All of our guys are on a big solar project this week, which is very, very complicated, and they're pulling in some big cables over there as well, but annoyingly it's a project that we can't film. So we've got a selection of these Hilti clips that you guys can use. Just literally shoot them through there, straight into a purlin or steel or whatever.
Smart.
So we've got a big chunky armoured cable that we've got to run all the length of this building to a secondary distribution board down there. It's only one cable, so it's not worth to run a cable tray for it. So we're going to use these and this. And this is going to come in really handy for lots of different applications around this project, because to be able to shoot in all different types of clips super quickly, saves a ton of time, and it gives us the containment that we need for these smaller cable runs. We've got this purlin, so it's an ideal line all the way back to the other end where the main distribution board is going. So we're going to run, our new board is just going to go there, and we're just going to do a run all the way down, down to the end there. I'm going to put one every time we've got one of these, because then it'll line up nicely. And then I'm going to put one in between as well. The guys are trying to guess how much this costs. And they were like, oh, it must be at least £3,000, something like that. And we had a look on the Hilti website. It's actually incredibly well priced. About 600 quid for this, just for the body, without the batteries and stuff. But for the amount of time that it saves you, I think it's £16 a month on fleet management. For the amount of time that it saves you, it's just an absolute game changer, really. So I'll leave a link below where you can find out more about this amazing piece of kit.
Flynn, you're a horrible pilot, mate. Front them round.
So we are currently wiring the fire alarm system. So it's just a radial system, basically. It's all one loop in here. So this is our end of line, which is a call point at the top of the stairs. We're then jumping up to a smoke head. There's a smoke head here. So we're just getting this bit in because they're trying to board the ceiling. And these are pretty much the only cables that are going to be behind the ceiling. I think we're ready to go. Already better than Cobb. Cobb, if you're watching, I'm sorry, but you've been outclassed, you've been outmatched, you've been outmanned.
That's sick.
Weighs a lot more than I thought it did.
I look like a what? A pilot? Yeah.
Would you trust him to fly a plane?
You wouldn't. Mike, I think I need a different end.
What do you mean?
Like, so this attachment is obviously the triangle one, and this is like some sort of weird star one. So I think you need a new bit to go in, like a new metal bit.
Can I see?
Yeah, go for it, mate. You got it?
Yeah.
Oh, it is that one.
Yeah?
Good for that, mate.
Okay. We all clear he's just being an idiot, yeah?
We're in.
Yeah? So Cal's getting the loop in upstairs, and then I'm just going to start getting the clips in down here so that I can continue the loop. It's basically just one radial that goes from the fire alarm panel and sort of snakes around the whole building and picks everything up. So it's quite easy to first fix because we can all just jump on different segments. He's upstairs, I'm down here. We're using these little conduit sort of clips, but great for holding cables. We're going to be going every 300 because it's fire alarm.
Right, so basically we are running in all of the fire alarm cables across the first floor. We've basically wired from the first point, which is the call point, well it's actually the last point of the circuit, back through picking up the smoke alarms, the heat detectors, call points. This system's quite good because it doesn't have any sort of dependability on which point you have to wire in order. It's just completely, you can just wire as you want, just jump about, hit each point at a time, and it's got no sort of, you don't have to hit smokes, then heats, it's just all on one radial and you just wire between the points.
So this is some seriously nice cable. This is what Doncaster Cables call tough sheath. So it's, you might know it as 𝐿𝐻𝐿𝐽, but it's actually not. This is built to a much higher spec than 𝐿𝐻𝐿𝐽. It's very similar to the EV Ultra and PV Ultra in terms of the design with the bedding. It's got this lovely, it's just so flexible, so nice to work with. This is a 4-core 1.5, so we're going to use this for all of our lighting. So we're going to have permanent live, emergency, neutral and CPC. So that will give us everything that we need for all of our lighting circuits. It's just such nice cable, so nice to work with, so flexible, and you can just tell that it's built to a different standard, superb quality, which is why we always use Doncaster Cables.
Yeah, that'll be alright.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Right, can I start clipping?
Yeah, bro.
What do you mean? Because I've wired the whole downstairs, which has more devices, and then I've come up here and finished yours.
You just got that efficiency, mate.
Nah, you've had a mare, mate. I'm not gonna lie. We're gonna have words about it in the van.
We can do it in the meeting with Flid.
I'm gonna have a meeting about you with Flid.
Alright, bring Flid in then. Flid, you're being called for a meeting, mate.
No, you're being called for a meeting.
You're being called for a meeting. We're both collectively being called for a meeting.
Right, so we've just finished tying in probably 90% of the fire alarm loop. A few bits we can't do until walls are built and stuff like that. But we've been using metal tie wraps, and one of the lads asked why we're using these everywhere. So metal fixings are pretty standard in all electrical circuits, but fire alarm is even more particular. So they generally want a metal fixing every 300 millimeters, which is quite, tight. So regardless of whether it's on tray or if we're just tying, the loops down, we personally just use metal ties exclusively. When you use a mixture of the two, we don't think it looks that good. And then, we just use something like this. This is just a tie wrap gun, basically, where these are metal, they're quite hard to get tight, as this thing sort of pulls them together and cuts them. And that way we can get it all looking nice and neat. Right, it is day 2 of first fix at the Artisan HQ. Yesterday we got 90% of the fire alarm done, so we've just been marking up the drawing on the iPad with a highlighter so we can know exactly where we are. The bits left are just things that we're waiting for other people to sort. We need a ceiling to come down, a wall to be built and stuff like that. So we're going to put the fire alarm to bed and start on the power and lighting. So there's lots to do, lots of circuits. Power and lighting upstairs is going to be the focus. We've got tray, we've got trunking, we've got baskets, surface clips, various different containment systems that we can hopefully show you today. And there's a lot to do, so we better get going. So we're currently just getting the circuits in up here. Our main containment run is this tray. We're then into this void above this ceiling where we've got another span of tray running the whole length of this area. So the cables are just sort of coming up, floating along the tray and then dropping off. That's why it's super important to get your containment system in, because it just makes wiring really, really easy. We're currently just focusing on the first points of circuits, so getting the cable to the first point, get all them in, the main runs tied in, and then we'll do all the daisy chains, all the links to get all the circuits finished. Right, so this is where all of the mains is and where our fuse boards are going. So we've got this existing trunking system, which is all right. We are going to be utilising it, but we're actually going to be stripping out from this bend onwards, just because we don't need all this stuff in the way. The trunking is then going to come down, come across and 90 down to our DB. I'm thinking about putting it on the right. It's all a bit of a work in progress. And then we've also got a load of cables on tray. So we're going to do a vertical bit of tray on the left and then a horizontal bit underneath where the trunking sort of is now, and that will carry all of our surface, all of our tray circuits into the boards too. So the task for the minute is to get all this out of the way, get some tray up, and then the circuits that we've pulled in, we can start getting on the tray and dressed in. Right, so we've got our tray in here. We've got a vertical piece in this corner, so that's going to get everything down, and then this horizontal piece across. This is going to serve all sorts in here. We've got mains, we've got internal wiring, and of course our final circuits. But for now, we're just going to try and get all the cables we pulled in earlier on in the day tied back to the board. If we head out here, you'll see that we have got, I think it's 7 or 8 circuits in. So they're currently just loosely hanging down there. We're going to get them all tied individually. We thought we'd have a little bit more. The circuit schedule is quite in depth, but I think we're going to go for like singly tied, which will look quite neat. We'll get them through the slot that Callum's just done at the end of the tray, poked through there, and then of course down our vertical bit, along our horizontal bit, and then finally we're going to head upstairs and just get them tied to their first points. Obviously we've only wired the first leg of each circuit. They will need to come out and go to the other sort of accessories or rooms or whatever, but we know we've got the main runs in now. All the rest of the upstairs wiring can be done locally, and we can just focus on that tomorrow.
In other news, there's a lot happened here that's been going on behind the scenes. Let me show you guys what's been going on over the last few days. So up here we've got walls starting to go in, the stud walls where the windows are going to be to look down on the loading bay, and there's a whole bulkhead going in there. We've ripped out the wall in the plant room. All of the cables are here hanging, ready to go into our new distribution boards. Upstairs there's a lot happened too. We've got windows cut in, socket boxes on the wall, cabling in for our TVs and our wall sockets. The bathroom is all being chopped around, so this door's getting closed, and the pipe work for the new sink location and the new toilet location are all in. And we've got our coffee point. So this is going to be the Artisan coffee bar where we train our in-house baristas, and there's going to be a worktop here with our coffee machine, dishwasher, hot tap, fridge, all of the lovely stuff that everyone needs to make themselves a nice tea or coffee during work. The windows are in place to bring in some natural light all around because we're going to be closing off the ceiling and the skylights are going to get blocked off. And this bulkhead here is in place for our staircase to give a fireproof barrier for this stairwell that comes up. The walls on the outside are nearly boarded, and we've even got some air conditioning pipes starting to go in. And the builders are busy putting in the bulkhead, which is going to run all the way around and join up with the bulkhead at that end, which is designed to work around the roller shutter doors. The video has heinously been cut short by a terrible crime. We've been burgled and all of our cables have been stolen. Look at the state of this door. Click here to watch the video to find out what happened.